Welcome to the Panther Pause, your weekly professional development for literacy in 3 minutes or less. At the beginning of the school year, there are many things to do. We want students to know your classroom policies, start learning content, practicing important disciplinary skills. But none of those things can happen if students aren't engaged and motivated and ready to learn. However, it can be a struggle. That's why dozens of different scholars have spent their careers trying to figure out how do you engage and motivate adolescent learners. Scholars like Camborne have actually come up with conditions for learning. In other words, arguing that if all of these conditions are in place and met within your classroom, students are more likely to be higher achieving, more engaged, and more prepared. However, any type of motivational or engagement strategy, whether it's Camborne or another scholar, are only going to be band-aids if you don't know the underlying reason why the student or students aren't engaged and motivated. For example, they might be struggling readers trying to avoid being discovered by you or their peers. There might be a cultural mismatch in the way that you're choosing to speak or teach. Maybe, through no fault of your own, students are expecting you to hate them or not like them because of their past experiences. Maybe they've prioritized their social development over their cognitive development. Or perhaps they're just bored and find your content to be irrelevant for their lives. Once you build a relationship and know why a student is not motivated or engaged, then you can best choose the strategy that will help them to become more motivated and engaged within your classroom. Synthesizing the research around motivation and engagement for adolescents, there seem to be 4 key trends. Thinking about how students are centered in the curriculum, the amount of choice they're given, whether or not they've had strategies and content explicitly taught and modeled for them so they know what to do, and having students as active learners. All of these are solutions to different problems that may arise related to motivation and engagement. So thinking about the very first one, how could you center students in your curriculum? First, let's think, does your curriculum actually include diverse voices? Think about the pictures on your wall and in your text, the experts you use as an examples, and the authors of the different texts that you read and view in your classroom. Do they represent the diverse identities of the students that you teach? Are they able to picture and imagine themselves as scientists, oceanographers, photographers, and authors? If they don't see mirrors reflecting their ability to be in that role, it's going to be less likely that they're engaged and motivated to continue within your discipline. Additionally, do you include local voices? Are the examples that you're choosing, the resources, the texts, or even the guests that you're inviting into your classroom coming from the local community? Showing that this is an actual career that people within the local Tucker and DeKalb community are practicing and doing. Thanks for pausing.